The High Vessel requesting me for a meeting in the throne room. Out of nowhere. Everything I've done has been illegal thus far. Well, potentially unconventional.
None of what I've done should be any cause for suspicion.
Prepared for however this will go, though. Forgot that was there. It'd be regarding the Master of Coin position that we had spoke of. But left field like this would be quite strange, to say the least. Audience at the court. No. I'll make my way over. Do I need to come in preparation with? What'd you say? The throne room? Uh-huh. Throne room. If I remember correctly, with destruction. Ah, right.
I didn't know.
Hello.
Oh, welcome. I have brought it up to the members of my court that you had inquiries about potential Master of Coin. If you would like to present your desire to them.
Of course. I've met with the High Vessel already regarding an interest in furthering the crown. I understand that she is already attempting to make change from the way that things have been running for centuries. And I'd like to further that change and help diversify the court. As for the position itself, Master of Coin, just in my very nature, I've lived through a number of outposts and hideouts. I suppose old habits die hard. And within that, I've always distributed resources evenly. I feel that skill set may particularly apply in this position. I understand I may have a lot to learn in the ways of nobility or a position on the court in general, but I'm willing to learn, and I would hope that the same olive branch can be extended to me that I am willing to extend. Thank you.
If I may make an amendment, I do believe that eventually there is potential to take on a position as such. However, I think we're more in need of knights currently, if you'd be willing to take that position beforehand.
I suppose I'm a little unprepared, but what would it entail?
Well, keeping peace among the origins, helping Arlo and Oliver out, making sure that things do not become raucous, and potentially helping me from one place to another.
I suppose I'm willing to give it a try.
I appreciate the extension of your olive branch. I do know that we're all in a position where we are trying to get to know one another, and I think we would all like the opportunity to do so on an even playing field before the ranks are extended up into a position such as the finances of an entire kingdom. I hope that's understandable.
Very.
And this is to not to say that eventually that position could not be achieved. I just would like to work side by side with you and get to know you beforehand.
Of course. If you would be ever so gracious as to have me as a knight, I would be honored.
I would love that. Currently, we have just sworn in these three. However, I would ask that I get you the handbook and let you look over some things before we go down the road of the swearing you in, just to make sure that you are comfortable with what this kingdom is trying to set out to do. Give you a more clear view of my intentions.
Of course.
Wonderful. I apologize for pulling you away from whatever it was that you were doing for such a quick meeting. I just wanted to let you know that your inquiries were on good faith and you were being thought about.
Thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate you all taking the time to meet. Is there anything else you require of me?
Currently, no, but I would like eventually to speak with you more privately to get your opinions and things like that before you're swearing in.
Of course. Let me know whenever
will
that
get
time
you-
comes.
Of course. I will get you the handbook and the oath itself for you to look at before we meet. That way you have time.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A knight position. Sudden, but welcome. I've said it before, but I will gladly say it again. A new day is upon us. If the clock's hand is moved once more. A knight position. I would almost consider that a position above a financier. However, it seems that she considers it below. Despite wanting to leave the door open, I almost wonder if she's considering to leave the position of financier open until she can trust me on it. Which wouldn't be particularly horrible either. Being able to work my way up with a tenure would be ideal. People can trust someone that they know much better than someone they don't. Someone unfamiliar stepping into power out of nowhere could be frightening. There would be a low trust in them. After all, they don't know who or why or where, they would have no real reason to trust. But the former knight became the financier, who became whatever else after that. Could certainly be a path that people could find trustworthy. Besides, working from interior perspective were very useful. Especially if I'm able to jump around positions, have access to more information than perhaps the average person may. Being able to see the exact defense forces that I'd be potentially working against or for, and then seeing the shape of the finances that I'd be working with. All knowledge that would prove insanely valuable. This is a good opportunity, but I suppose still some odds and ends to work out. She said she would get me a copy of a handbook. I'm not going to particularly be able to read there. Reading. Built up favor with Sundu and Darian. Perhaps I could be... No. It may be possible to get her to read it for me. However humiliating, it gives her an upper hand. How could I spin it in a way where it be so that she tackles it for me in a way that I would still understand, in a way that I would need to? I'm unsure if there's a way to go through it with humility. However, weak often feel a need, almost inherent one, to share their weakness. If I'm to disclose a weakness, in that I struggle to read precisely the language that many write with, she might just be more privy to opening her heart or her mouth in regards to anything I would like to know. Perhaps giving her what she may view as a weakness, she would be much more open to sharing perhaps the location of whatever endearing gem that creates the stronger armor and tools. Perhaps with a faux trust built, it would open the doors to many other things. With that said, I certainly cannot outright reveal. I'll need to keep it a little closely guarded. If I give it to her on a silver platter, she won't think anything of it. She has to continue working it out of me, then she may feel more like she's discovered a deeper secret. That's how things will have to be done. It'll be difficult to get things to align precisely as I need them to, however, possible. Certainly possible. These things go day by day. And I'll see to the fact that they fall how I want them to. How I wish for them to. Don't particularly have an escort. believe that may be within the binding law of the Endirian realm, but given I'm correct of my impression of Jura, I don't think she thinks too highly of the written law either. Let's see. Looks to be clear. Paid the toll, I have my very own pass. Should be good enough for them. Officer Son Goodwill. Said she'd be waiting in the bar. Indeed. Let's make it so. Brewery. Bring that up. Brewery would come much in handy for the stronghold if I'm to host gatherings there. People like their alcohol and their wine so much.
There you are.
Hello?
Can I
But-
offer you anything to drink?
I don't drink. I'll have whatever you're having.
All right, suit yourself. Just some coffee then. Now
This new attire?
then, new attire. No, just not my ball attire.
I can't say I've seen this before, that's why.
Well, I don't think you've ever been to Limbo when I've not been in a dress.
Fair enough.
Now, what is it you wanted to speak to me about?
At the ball, when we bumped into each other, we had a small talk about change, and you said that you understood what I meant. I came to
Well-
ask what exactly I meant.
I can't say for certainty, but I did hear some interesting things about wolfkins, specifically their treatment in the overworld in the past couple of centuries. And frankly, if you ask my opinion on it, I do believe that there needs to be a change.
And that's all that you're under the impression of?
Well, if we were to delve into specifics, I've heard that wolfkins are treated more as second-class citizens. Mainly, shrieklings have been ruling over the overworld for quite some time, and because of that, wolfkins were drafted into the war without consent, simply because they were seen as warriors.
And you'd see that
Savages,
as
maybe.
a second class. Personally, I'm not aware of the flower spirits being drafted in any similar way. Second class citizen would almost imply a natural right to oneself, to a decent living within a kingdom. I don't know any other origin, at least in the overworld, that lives in the wilderness in packs. Perhaps it's nature at this point, perhaps it's instinct. However, there's always certainly the option that wolfkins are not perhaps welcomed.
Well, welcomed or not, I can't say that learning that information brought me any particular joy. In fact, coming from the end, as a militarized society, you had to participate in military enlistment, even our heirs. regardless of your origin, your status, you had to participate.
And you don't feel any disdain for your kingdom for that?
Well, we all had to go through the same pain. It's unfair to only have one partake in it, wouldn't you say?
Wouldn't you say that a good kingdom should inspire its citizens to participate in military service so they wish, rather than forcing enlistment?
Well,
A good
that comes to the
nation should
matter-
inspire warriors, not make them.
Well, I can't say it particularly made a warrior out of me, but at the very least, I respect the ability of the end to have it be not exempt for any citizen. If anything, it should be equal. They should be able to stand on the same footing regardless of the station of their birth. That's just my opinion on the matter anyway.
I don't disagree. I suppose it's incremental. To me, some will never be fit for battle, or war, or a fight. I can't imagine that my mother, for example, would have been keen on it. In a society like the Enderians, she would have faltered. However, men like my father or myself, given the proper chance and respect for a kingdom, we would gladly fight. But unless when you have to force the hand, when you have no understanding of how to inspire a citizen, no idea how to give them a base respect for their own kingdom, I believe that to be a problem. And when
I
we
see.
spoke at the ball, forgive me if I'm getting the wrong impression, but it appeared to me, or at least off of what you had said, that you were willing to take the steps needed for change. You may have said it, you may have implied it, I don't particularly remember.
Well, I believe change comes in small doses. And there is a base level necessary for change.
So you would believe the High Vessel's current plan of action is suitable. Take small steps
Well-
wherever it benefits her in the name of quote-unquote positive change. Meanwhile,
Well-
any positive change is immediately steamrolled by existing prejudices and inequalities.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that. Let's just say I've been privy to some information about the overworld that I most likely shouldn't have been. But, well, I can't exactly say I trust the High Vessel. At least, well, I can't say for certain, but
I could be ever so
Let's just
privy
say-
as well to this information. Can't say it wouldn't hurt a relationship here.
well, if you must know, all I can really say is if there's a man that you ever encounter named Balefire, then, I don't know, I'd look into him a little bit.
That's the one you disliked the night of the ball, no? The one that came with the... I don't care to know her name. The other witch.
Well, let's just say that for the High Vessel's escort, he does quite a lot more than escorting.
And you don't know for certain, or
I do know for certain,
much
but
it doesn't?
why would I want to spoil all the fun?
Well, in my humble opinion, I don't believe you can make change alone. And to find someone else that is willing to do what it takes, create change, I wouldn't want to squander that opportunity by disguising anything. It's not your kingdom after all. What's the worry?
Well, my worry is the safety of the denizens of my kingdom. Sure, I may not trust the High Vessel, but unfortunately, if my mistrust leads us down the wrong path, if I was wrong, then it could harm the people I care about. You seem like a lone wolf, no pun intended. So, I understand if you've got nothing much to lose, but I very much do. Besides, I don't believe you're a fool. Cat got your tongue?
No, just watching. You can tell a lot of someone by their movements and their facial expressions.
Oh, really? Then what does mine say about me?
You seem troubled.
Well, you're not wrong.
Or that could be a baseline guess that applies to just about anybody. Seems like everyone
We just
has
came out of
something going
100
on
years
today.
worth of war. I don't think anybody here is without their troubles.
Some are more meaningful than others. What about yours?
My troubles... Well... Probably nowhere near yours, but... I've seen what it's like to be treated as less than. I know what it's like. I simply don't wish to see it happen for anybody else. Whether it be my kingdom or others. If it was a change I could make within my own kingdom, I'd already be doing it. And very much I could.
Perhaps I am misunderstanding, but are you a member of the Endirian nobility? I assumed you were just a property owner.
I am not.
What change could you hope to make then?
Connections. I don't know if you happen to notice, but my friend, Vincent, the Endarian advisor, very close to the crown. My little brother also happens to be an heir to the kingdom.
Certainly helps to have friends in high places.
Mm-hmm.
Truth
Well?
be told, I myself could soon be a good asset to have in your pocket, provided that things can go both ways. I've been offered a, just in my opinion, I'm not sure how exactly it is viewed, higher position within the overworld crown. I intend to make my way up through the ranks if I can. However,
I
of
see.
course, like I said, change cannot be made alone. The more people that can
Well?
back a cause, the more resources a cause may have, the better.
Of course. Well, you see, I'm in the business of collecting information. This establishment has been for quite the number of years. So if you find yourself in need, just come over. Give me a call.
How exactly can I trust that what I tell you in confidence isn't relayed to someone else? What exactly puts me above any other poor sap looking for information?
Well, let's just say I'm not exactly favored by my own crown. So,
Yet
if
you
say,
claim to have connections within it.
well, an adopted connection. Besides, I only just found out a few days ago, so forgive me for not exactly having my roots placed quite yet.
Must be a shift learning that you've got some form of royal blood, I suppose, even if adopted. Not an open subject, I see.
I'm still figuring it out myself, but in any case, I know where to go if I need information. And if it's a guarantee you need, I can provide that.
I'm willing to secure it. I have access to plenty of resources, and as I mentioned prior, I'm most likely entering the ranks of the Overworld Crown. I'm willing to
Understood.
scratch your back if you're willing to scratch mine.
I think that's a deal I'm willing to take.
Very well. Do you know anybody else that may be open to a cause such as ours?
Open to a cause.
Willing to make a change, no matter what it takes. I don't wish to handle this hostilely. Ideally, the less blood you can have in the path of something, the better. The more blood you leave behind, the more resentment that builds, the more fear. And while you can't rule without fear, you can't rule with it rampant. It's a
agree.
careful balance.
There is a fine line between a ruler and a tyrant.
Correct.
There is somebody, but I'm going to need some more information on them. Unfortunately, at this time, I can't provide it. But should I will. But what can I use to guarantee it? Well, you can choose to trust me or don't. I understand that it's a two-way street.
Very well. As I said myself, I'm more than willing to secure things. I understand monetary gestures may not exactly be any strong sign of trust, but I am of the mindset that why waste the resources if not.
Understood.
If you were to need anything through the overworld, from the overworld, etc., I'm more than willing to provide without any sort of taxation or tolls or the like. The different...
I offer the same here.
But
I also happen to provide don't ask, don't tell services. If you need a place to stay in the end, yet don't want to be under the prying eyes of the crown, you may make your way here.
could be quite valuable. Take note of that.
It would do you good.
I suppose then, in that vein, I've overheard from Sundu, the blacksmith. The end is host to a number of rarer resources that are under strict lock and key. Or strict law.
Yes, indeed. Eternium, elytras, and crystals, the works.
I don't expect that we are quite at that level yet, but in the future, would that be a possibility you're willing to consider? Eternium being the main one.
It would indeed.
Good. I'm unsure, as of now, if the overworld has anything to match that, but should you learn of anything, I'm more than willing to provide.
Of course. I will just reiterate it again. I would be very wary of balefire.
Noted. Any of the Shrieklings, frankly.
Of course.
I'm of the thought that sins of the father pass on. Doesn't matter what you do. Unless you're truly willing to take a turn. Nothing will change. That's the very basis of our conversation here. And of the Shrieklings, I believe they're the same way. They may parade their facade that they're pushing forward a new page. They're only doing it because they deem it necessary. And if not, they're weak.
Some sort of facade for public relations.
They've just gotten out of a war. To have a kingdom fractured, be unwise, be foolish. And well, I understand that many of my fellow Wolfkins have accepted this facade. I will not.
You're a smart man, Atticus.
I would hope to be. You're not so far off yourself.
Duly noted. Well, I do have yet to see how far the apple truly falls, but either in time, she will come to prove herself, or she won't. And if anything, if you want change, you start from the top down, or you cut it out by the root.
A good way to put it. The way I personally would state it is, I'm not a very patient man. She seems more than willing to let things fester. Words take precedent for her. Actions perhaps come later, but less broad strokes and more so pebbles in a pond. Meaningless gestures. Thoughtless ones at that. I don't believe she has the capability to make the change that is necessary.
While I would not mistake kindness for weakness, I do believe that sometimes it's necessary to take a stronger hand.
Correct.
Though, I also worry if that stronger hand will not be used for new opportunity, but rather to quash rebellion. While I do think you're making good progress, you're trying to make the steps for change. Tread lightly, at least for now. That's my advice.
I've considered it. In my view, if a leader's not fit, their population will prove it. I believe if you seek out power, you must be ready at any time to be removed from it. It's only fair after all. If you're not fit to lead, you're removed. I suppose a pack mentality at that.
I see.
Survival of the fittest, may the best lead. I believe a true leader, at that, can accept when they've failed. However, the current crown has never quite done that. So someone or something
Well.
might show them. Nonetheless, I believe that's summative of the overworld.
I see.
Provided you were given the chance to lead, what would you make change of here? We've established you're certainly troubled. You have a history that still weighs on you. What would you change so that the children of this kingdom never have to face what you have? What do you want to see changed that no one is brave enough to change?
To all those who believe in the lies of fairy tales, I wish for those who see the pain and the suffering, I wish for the crown to stop ignoring the black market and to get rid of the sex traffickers. Specifically, the sex trafficking of Crystallian women. Women like my mother.
I see.
It's like you said. I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Gladly. This black market you talk of, I can't say I've heard of it before, but perhaps I've been in the wrong crowds.
Well, the Andarian Kingdom has something known as the Purple Light District. It was an illegal trade, weapons trafficking, drugs, prostitution. And unfortunately, my own mother was a victim of it. And I've only just recently come to find out that I'm the product of an affair between my mother and a nobleman.
This nobleman's still around.
No. He's long since passed.
Good. I could certainly
Mark
see
my
in the
words,
future
though.
that perhaps you have a birthright.
Perhaps. I'll simply have to see.
Indeed.
Do you believe that too? That you have a birthright?
I believe as a wolfkin, I don't particularly have right by birth to anything, and I wish to change that.
The
However,
ones at the top take it all when the bottom gets nothing.
correct.
I understand that quite well.
I can't say I particularly believe in fate or not, but the right pieces always have a way of falling into place. I take the good with the bad.
Of course.
Anything horrible that has ever happened to me in my life, I can trace back, or I suppose trace forward, to a great good. Overwhelmingly so. And I believe everything
Well-
in my life so far has led up to what I need to do. No one
Well,
else will
at
do it
least
for
you're a
me.
man who can see silver linings.
The present and the future is exactly what you make of it. So, regardless of birthright or not for either of us, let's make change.
Agreed. Let's make a change.
I'll check back in sometime later if you're perhaps privy to any more information that would be good to know, or if you happen to meet with anybody that may share our similar thought process. Let me know. I will do the same.
I will. I'll let you know on this other person I'm thinking of, but the one I first learned this from was Lord Page Grant Willoughbeak. I believe she might be someone who you can talk to as a starting point.
Right.
However, I will say, tread lightly with her. She may seem tough, but she is a softer soul.
Certainly do. Do you know by chance her preferred alcohol?
Well, non-overworld alcohol. So... give her some of this.
Very well. I'll
Thank
see
you.
what I can do. I'll let you know if I find anything that you perhaps may not know already.
Of course.
A pleasure.
A pleasure.